I believe so deeply in the idea of compassion and generosity. And, we look around and, many people are suffering. And it's so easy just to focus on ourselves. And, when we realize that we can actually do something with what we've been blessed with our time and our talent and our money to end the needless suffering around us in our local community and global community, our lives are so much richer because of that. So water, I think, is a pretty great place to tangibly start, improving people's lives.
I'm super excited to introduce you to Scott Harrison. I mean, this is a guy making a difference. If you can make a small difference in the world, it's amazing. I encourage you to watch the YouTube video, The Spring, the charity water, the story, amazing. But I mean, for those of you that haven't seen that video, and I literally was crying at the end of it. It was so beautiful.
Mm.
Can you share your story? Because I mean, that was just remarkable.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with a mom who was chronically ill. When I was 4 years old, we moved from Philadelphia to the suburbs of New Jersey, and we moved into this kind of ugly gray house at the end of a cul-de-sac. My dad was trying to reduce his commute so he could spend more time at home and hopefully have a big family. And we moved into the dead of winter, and unknown to us, the house had a carbon monoxide gas leak. And this was before they'd invented the detector. And I remember all of us got these strange symptoms and headaches. And on New Year's Day, 1980, mom walks across her bedroom and she collapses unconscious. And this led to hospital visits and blood tests. And they finally identified massive amounts of carboxyhemoglobin in her bloodstream, which was from the carbon monoxide. So she never bounced back from that. My dad and I did. And what happened, if you'd asked her, was that her immune system just irreparably was unable to process anything chemical from that point on. So she became allergic to the world. You name it, it made her sick. If it was car fumes, if it was fabric softener, if it was the ink from books, foods, she just would have hypertension and migraines, and she would swell up with exposure. So family planning stopped. I was an only child, just kind of put into a caregiver role at a very young age, and just grew up never really seeing my mom's face because she always wore a mask or was connected to oxygen. And, after many visits to clinics and specialists, nobody could find any way to help her except to say, just avoid all these things that are making you sick, which was everything. So she really lived her life in isolation. They made a movie about this called Safe with Julianne Moore many years ago, which is pretty close to my my experience growing up. So that was childhood. A very Christian family. My dad stuck by my mom, very loyal man. They believed God would just continue to provide for the needs of our family. So I was raised in the church. And then at 18, I began act two of my life, which was to become a nightclub promoter in New York City, to the horror of my parents, and to do all of the things that I was not allowed to do as a good little Christian kid in church. So for the next 10 years, I filled up 40 nightclubs full of reveling, drinking, drugging people, kind of climbed up to the top of New York City, nightlife society, and was really good at this job. I would get people, to line up outside the Velvet Rope so they could come in and spend $25 on a cocktail that cost 25 cents to make, or $1,000 on a bottle of champagne. And over 10 years of that, just descended into a moral decay and a hedonistic, selfish, kind of sycophantic, miserable existence. And had a 2-pack a day smoking habit, a gambling problem, a porn problem, a cocaine problem, drinking problem, and just really hated the person that I'd become 10 years later. And at 28, made a really radical break from nightlife, came back to faith, I think, in a different way as an adult, opting back in, sold everything I owned, and just said I wanted to start my life over at 28 and see if I could be useful to others. What would it look like to serve someone except me? And my big idea at the time was to volunteer for 1 year for a famous humanitarian organization that I'd heard of. So I applied to the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders and Save the Children and the Salvation Army. And of course, no one wants a nightclub promoter. So I am denied by all these organizations. And then finally, one took me, provided I paid them $500 a month for the pleasure of volunteering, and was willing to go live in the poorest country in the world, Liberia, West Africa at the time, on this medical mission. So that kind of started Act 3 of my life, and that moment was 20 years ago.
My God, I mean, to pull out of that darkness, that's incredible. I mean, when you're in that experience and you're seeing, the doctors working on these diseases we generally don't see in our world. You were mentioning that unsafe drinking water kills more people and lack of basic sanitation than 80% of all of the diseases in the world are from this. And it kills more people than any violence, wars, anything.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean,
I mean, if you think about it, right, it is the single first building block of health, of life. I mean, you are dead in days without water. So that's what I discovered when I went to West Africa. I was with these doctors, and we were going into a country where at the time, because of this war that had just ended, there was only one doctor for every 50,000 people living there. Here in America, I think our ratio is 1 to 280 or so, right? Every 280 Americans or so, there's a doctor. So 1 to 50,000. So people that got sick in this country were just out of luck. And I went in with a group of international doctors who had come from 41 different countries, and they were living and operating on a huge hospital ship. So a converted cruise liner that had been turned into a state-of-the-art hospital. And I just remember we had 1,500 available surgery slots. That was what we specialized in, was maxillofacial surgery and cleft lips and cleft palates and burn reconstructions. And on the third day, when we conducted our patient screening or our triage, over 5,000 sick people came for 1,500 slots. And you could do the math there. We sent over 3,000 sick people home without the opportunity to see a doctor or get healed, because we didn't have enough resources to meet that need. So that was kind of my first impression. I'd never been to Africa before. I'd never seen extreme poverty. It was all a completely new paradigm. But then, as you said, I learned that half of the country was drinking unsafe water from open swamps and ponds and muddy rivers. And I learned that half of the country's sickness could be tracked back to the dirty water and the lack of sanitation and hygiene. So it was really, that's how I discovered the issue, was through all of this sickness, was really through a greater need. Imagine you can see 10 patients and there are 1,000 standing outside your door. For me, it was saying, well, what's actually making all these people sick? Oh, they're drinking dirty water at home. Let's go work on that.
Oh, brother, when you see the chronic disease in our country, in our Western world, 1900, it was just devastating our population. Mm-hmm. And then the advent of roads, refrigeration, clean water, sanitation. It wasn't the advent of doing, modern medicine, which is literally chemicals to alter your adaptation. That's foolishness. To go after the cause of it. And I mean, brilliant. Now, you started, what was it, over 16 years ago?
17 years ago. Yep. Very close. Yep.
Charity Water. How did you come up with this?
I was 30 when I started. So I think I came back from 2 years of volunteering in Africa, and I had my life's mission. The thing that wasn't okay on my watch as a human living on a planet was the fact that 1 billion people were drinking dirty water, and I could do something about it. We knew how to bring clean water to every human being alive, but yet we hadn't. We weren't even making a dent. There was no will, there was no awareness. And at the time, 1 out of 6 humans, this is 20 years ago, 1 in 6 people alive were drinking disgusting water. I mean, imagine that. And so I kind of raised my hand and said, I'm going to go and work on this. My life's mission is going to be to bring clean water to everybody on earth before I die, to try to create a world where every man, woman, and child had the most basic need for their health and for their life and human flourishing met. Now, I had no money. I was living on a closet floor in Soho, New York City for free rent. But yeah, I think the power of a very simple idea, was propelled me. So I went around asking people, would they get involved in this cause? And the first thing I learned was that so many people were distrustful of charities. There was a cynicism, there was a skepticism out there. I don't know where my money goes, people would say, or I don't know how much my money's actually going to reach those people. So I thought there was an opportunity to disrupt the charitable sector and to create a completely new kind of charity, a charity that would revolutionize the way people thought about giving and philanthropy. And there were really a couple simple ideas. The first idea was just, what if I could design a financial structure where 100% of all donations that we would ever take from any person anywhere in the world would go directly to provide clean water. They would go directly to build water systems that delivered clean water to people in need. And the way that looked was I just opened up 2 separate bank accounts and said 100% of the public donations is going to go in this one bank account, which can only be used to build water projects throughout Africa and India and later Southeast Asia. And then in that other bank account, somehow I'm going to raise all of that nasty overhead money, the office rent, the staff salaries, the toner for the Epson copy machine. I'm going to rent that. I'm going to raise that from a small group of visionary donors and visionary philanthropists who don't mind being the unsung heroes and paying for those needed costs. So that kind of differentiated us from 99.99% of charities in the world just with that move. And then the second pillar really became this idea of wanting to prove to people where their money went, wanting to show them every single completed project. And at first, that just looked like us putting every well or rainwater harvesting system or gravity-fed water system that we would fund up on Google Earth and Google Maps, and then sending the satellite images and the GPS coordinates back to everybody who funded those projects, saying this is exactly where your money went. So proof became this pillar of the organization. And then really the third kind of pillar was just this belief that for the work across Africa and Central and South America and India and Asia to be culturally appropriate and sustainable, it had to be led by the locals in each of these countries. So no guy like me from New York City should be running around Uganda with a hard hat on, pretending to drill a well. I could build a movement. Hopefully I could get people to care about this issue, to donate generously. But then the work had to be led by the Ugandans who would lead their communities and their countries forward. So I put all 3 of these very simple ideas: hey, give away 100% of the money, prove to people what you did with their money, and then create jobs in these local countries. And I'm sad to say the best idea I had to kick this thing off 17 years ago was to throw a party in a nightclub. So I threw my 31st birthday party. I got open bar donated for an hour. I invited everybody I knew to come, and 700 people came to that party. And to get in, they had to donate $20 and put it in this big glass box, big plexi box. And at the end of the night, we very carefully counted the cash, and there was $15,000. And we took 100% of that money and we built our very first well. And then we sent the photos and the GPS coordinates and video back to those 700 people. And we said, you came, you gave $20, and here's where your money went. And here are the people who are now drinking clean water because of you. And we realized that was just such a simple but powerful idea. What if we could just do that on repeat, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times, and the community would just grow and grow and grow?
My God. You hear the old story, buy a person a fish, you feed them for a day, teach them how to fish. And to get the locals involved in this, that's the only way it can survive.
It's true.
It's turning your birthday, okay, into a gift for the world. I saw you do this several
Yeah.
times where people are saying, look, for my birthday present today, donate. Okay. And then you get that GPS coordinates. You get involved. You see what you're actually doing.
It's such a simple idea. Yeah. I mean, so it started with my birthday, right? Give $20 to come in. And then a year later, I said, I've got an even better idea. Yeah, I don't need to throw a party. What if I just ask everyone to donate my age in dollars? And I was turning 32. And I kind of said, hey, you know what? Everyone I know probably has $32 they could donate, especially knowing that 100% of that $32 would help people get clean water. And I wound up raising a bunch of money. And then this 7-year-old kid in Texas starts knocking on doors and he starts asking for $7 donations. And an 89-year-old woman starts asking for $89 donations, realizing that she's double the life expectancy in so many of these countries because she had clean water. And if her birthday could help people actually have more birthdays, that's how she wanted to celebrate 89. So this movement of just people all around the world donating their birthday begins to spring up. And it's just so cool to see. I mean, a group of people all around the world simply donating their birthdays raised over $100 million through their birthdays and through other fundraisers, where 100% of that money went directly to help a couple million people get clean water.
Goodness gracious. Okay. About 5 years ago, I've got 3 sisters, and there was a project where you donate 2 goats to a family.
Yeah, that might have been heifer.
Yeah. Yes. And so I literally gave my sisters 2 goats each.
Yeah, it's tangible, right? But I think that's what spoke to you was my money can do this. It feels tangible. I can put 2 goats into the world. I can give someone clean water. I can go build a well in a village where there is no clean water. I think that's what's worked well about the Charity Water mission.
It's completely different when you're talking about medicating for cholera instead of preventing cholera. That's
exactly, and cholera can kill you within 2 days. It's the most lethal waterborne disease.
Oh yeah, and it's everywhere. And they're even trying to come up with a vaccine for cholera. Oh yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, that'll never work. So, the clean water. Now, how can people get involved in this? And what's the project this spring?
Yeah, I mean, the spring. So, the video that you mentioned, we'd love for people to see that. It's just a great way to kind of understand a little bit more of the story of the organization. So that's just thespring.com. And then what a lot of people do is they actually join the community, which is called The Spring, and kind of think of that like Spotify or Netflix, except you get no music and no movies. And every month, whatever people are able to donate, 100% of that gets people clean water. So the people that benefit are on the other end, where a donation is coming in every single month, and then clean water is coming out in some of the most neediest communities all over the world. So the Spring community now has members from 149 countries. Some of them giving 10 a month, some of them giving 40 a month, some of them giving 100 a month. People just kind of showing up consistently saying, look, I could do nothing, right? I could accept the apathy that's so easy, with any of these seemingly paralyzing global causes. Or like I could help one person a month, or I could help one person every couple months. So that's been really so hopeful. That community, The Spring, again, people would just check out thespring.com, has really been driving so much of the growth and progress that we're making. When I started out, there were 1 billion people without water. Now we're down to 700 million people. We went from 1 in 6 alive to 1 in 10 alive. It's still 1 in 10 people alive today are drinking dirty water. So we must go faster. And we can solve this problem. That's the beauty of it. There's not a single person we don't know how to reach. Not one single person alive who we're scratching our heads saying, couldn't get them water. But the reality is we haven't created the will to solve this problem. We haven't mobilized the resources in the community. And I think the main reason is this doesn't affect us. I mean, I guarantee, 100% of the people listening right now woke up this morning and had clean water throughout their entire day. Uh, it's something we take for granted. But yet, if you were born in the 10% of the world, you'd never have tasted clean water in your life.
Yeah, when I'm in Bangkok, I work at the bamboo school, and in the dry season, even though they're in the jungle next to Miramar, they literally have to go down to the river and get buckets of water to come up. Even though, I mean, you think a jungle's got nothing but rain, and we ended up getting them some solar refrigerators because they had no refrigeration. But it doesn't take much. They say you could get overwhelmed with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Control, takeover, evil forces, all that. And to change the world, you got to change yourself. I mean, $20. You've mentioned $20 donation a month. $20.
That helps one person every 2 months. So if somebody gave $20 a month, a year from now, 6 humans have clean water because of you, because people said I could do that. So yeah, I'd invite people to check that out. That's a big help to us. It takes like 25 seconds or so to join the community. It's very easy.
Yeah, automatic donations, and you're making an effort to change the world. Good God. Okay, besides monetary donations, how can people get involved? Can, equipment, just the expenses to run all this and organize this, how can they get involved?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, all the work is done by locals on the ground. So it's really awareness. If somebody doesn't have any money to donate, maybe they do donate a birthday or start a fundraiser. We've had people climb mountains trying to raise $1 a foot. The lemonade stands, my gosh, kids out there selling lemonade, donating a portion of their allowance. If you've got kids and this is something you want to introduce them to, you could just go to charitywater.org/kids. And we have videos that we've made for young people to learn about this issue and engage. So it's really about building a community of people who are kind of all working together to create a day and a world where we all have clean water as a shared resource, therefore radically improving health. I mean, I talk about water and education, water and women and girls, water and local economies, water and waste, water and climate. I always start with water and health. It is just the most basic building block for health. I mean, there's 28 diseases we can track straight back to dirty water, and you can just change somebody's life by clean water.
Okay, I'm going to talk with my team. We're going to do a charity day for you where we give away X-rays, exam, physical, everything. You'll get 100% of the donations.
Oh, amazing!
I've done this before in the past for Arthritis Foundation and a couple of others, but
we'd love that.
This is something, brother, they got to get in there. And now we're going to have all the stuff below this video. So everybody in the audience, and please, for goodness sake, share the website. How can they follow you more, do more?
Yeah,
support?
well, we're Charity Water on all the socials. I'm Scott Harrison, although these days it's just posting a newborn. So I had the surprise third kiddo at almost 50 years old. So
oh my gosh, cool.
I'm changing diapers again.
Little boy or girl?
Yeah, I've got an older boy, younger daughter, and then now a newborn boy. So
congratulations. Oh my God, how cool.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Oh my God. Yeah. So hook up with charitywater.org. Do what you can. But the brilliant idea of your birthdays, we don't need another t-shirt. We don't need, another belt, to make a difference in the world.
And I think, we were talking about this earlier, just, I know my mom, when she was able to focus on others, it made such a difference in her life, and I think just I believe so deeply in the idea of compassion and generosity. And, we look around and, many people are suffering, and it's so easy just to focus on ourselves. And, when we realize that we can actually do something with what we've been blessed with our time and our talent and our money, to end the needless suffering around us in our local community and global community. Our lives are so much richer because of that. So water, I think, is a pretty great place to tangibly start, improving people's lives.
And talk about needless suffering. I mean, the water's there. You
Yeah.
just got to get it out, get it to harvest. I mean, it's brilliant. And then with the water, you can create food, sanitation, everything. That is the gift of life.
We say water changes everything. It really does.
It really does. My God, your courage, innovation. Yeah, you're driven by a higher power for sure.
Mm.
Just God bless you, and God's blessed you with 4 kids. Parenting is the hardest job in the world, but
But rewarding.
but they do say the kids pick the parents. So your kids obviously are smart.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, brother, God bless you, man. I am going to be following you. I'll be supporting you
Awesome.
in every
We
way I
really
can.
appreciate the just the awareness among your community, and your passion is evident. So I could tell how much you care. It means a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I get patients with chronic illness or disease, and they're in this dark world, I say, look, man, this is going to be a gift because, when you see your grandkids or relatives or cousins or anything, you're going to speak from a great authority that, I had that condition and my body was rebuilt. So this way you don't need to see this suffering and poverty. You're doing something about it.
That's true.
$20 a month, $20 a month. It's like $3,000 will fund a child in college for a
Yeah,
year in Thailand. It's little donations, but $20 a month is making a difference in the whole world.
it's true.
And 50 would be better.
Yeah.
Oh, brother, God bless you. This is fantastic.
Thanks
Do you
for
have any
having me
final
on.
words? Because man, we got to support you.
Well, I mean, really just grateful for the time and being able to tell the story. And again, people can check out that video. I think that's a great way to learn more, and please share it. This is an organization, we don't have big marketing budgets. We're not taking out billboards unless we can get them for free. So it's really the power of community, the power of everyday people saying, "Oh, well, I came across this issue, maybe never thought of it before." Started to do something small about it, and then just sharing it. So that's really valuable to us, and really grateful for that.
God bless you, Scott. You're making a difference. We just need a few 100,000 more of you, or 12. That can
Thanks
change
for
the
the
world.
opportunity.
God bless you, brother.
Yeah,
Oh
thanks for
my
having
God.
me.